As the darkness outside fades to astronomical twilight, and Wiglaf begins to feel tired, and Griff is already snoring by the fireplace, Wiglaf helps his mother clean up their dinner plates and wash the bowls and the spoons, and then he says, "Well, mother, I suppose I'll stay here for the night, and then I'll set out and see if I can find this place you described." His mother says, "You know where your old room is. I've never changed it. It's still there." And Wiglaf smiles a little bit. Maybe she always believed in him, although he's not sure she's completely convinced that he isn't a murderer. And he then goes back into the back room to his old bed, and he takes his clothes off and rests for the night, knowing that the next morning he has yet another journey to undertake, another vow that he has sworn, and this time it could be incredibly dangerous. Hello and welcome. I am Scrapperlock, and this is Ironsworn, Antarctica. We are with Wiglaf, our player character, who at the moment has 2 momentum, 4 health, 4 spirit, and 5 supply. He is staying in his mother's house in Longhaven after having come to her to ask about this issue with Mossius, his uncle, who had been on a list of names in the possession of the cultists, and he's trying to locate Mossius. He's trying to figure out what's going on with the cult, and he found out that his father over the winter had died in a duel called Drawing the Circle in the Ironlands. He had drawn the circle with Mossius because Mossius had become this cultist, and Mossius had killed him, and because of some misses that we scored on swearing vows and gathering information and weak hits and so forth, we discovered that Mossius had consumed the life essence, the soul of Wiglaf's father, which is something husks can do, and that this husk Valeri that's running the cult, or at least in this region, is Mossius, that he's now calling himself Valeri, perhaps because it's one of the other essences that he's consumed, and Wiglaf has sworn to kill this husk in revenge for what happened to his father, but his mother warned him that this thing is really powerful, and also that your father's soul is inside, and if you kill it without releasing his soul, you're going to destroy your father's soul. So Wiglaf now needs to find a ritual that is hidden in an ancient ruin called the Spire of Iron, which is on this little tiny island in the middle of this lake, which I decided by random rolls is called, where is it? Sundered Lake. And Sundered Lake has monsters in it. Monsters are rumored to be in the lake. Not sure what kind of monsters there are or what. And so Wiglaf needs to journey here to enter the ruin to find the ritual, which I think may be painted on the wall like hieroglyphics, and he has to copy it down. I've looked up objects of power. There are 2 types of objects of power in Ironlands in Delve. Artifacts, which are just sort of just descriptive, and they give you some sort of a mechanical benefit in a very narrow set of circumstances. An example is that they made up as the Abyssal Harpoon, which works against a particular type of enemy to weaken it 1 rank of difficulty. And then the other thing is rarities. Rarities improve your existing assets. So we'd already described this thing as a ritual that would release the spell, release the soul of Wiglaf's father from the husk. So it didn't make sense to make it a rarity because I'd already established that it was a ritual, and his current assets, if we look at the assets, are a spear, being the outcast, and a skirmisher. And then a rarity, you roll the rarity die instead of the action die. It's just a different d6. I might probably use the same d6, but if you get good rolls on it, it can like trigger the magic item to do extra work. Doesn't make sense. What am I going to find? A dog collar for Griff? And for Outcast, what am I going to find? Like a bag of holding? I mean, none of these things, skirmisher, like a magic tip for the spear, that might work against the husk. But none of those things sound like rituals. I mean, I thought perhaps we could engrave the spear with the text, but it really seems to me this is a one-off, right? This is something that is only going to work once, and so I came up with the name the Ritual of Radiance, and when spoken aloud, this ritual produces a blinding flare of holy light, and it will sear any husk or horrors in the area, reducing their strength by one rank level, and if used in the presence of a husk, will sear away the souls of the husk, causing them to be released to the afterlife. And then I said if it's inscribed on parchment paper or any object other than pure iron, the power of the ritual will cause the medium to disintegrate. So it's a single use. So my guess is wherever it is in the iron spire, and I don't know if the spire is completely made of iron or it's just called the iron spire, but it's somewhere it's inscribed in iron, maybe on an altar or something in this spire. So if you used it in the spire, reading it off the iron altar or something, it would work over and over again in that room. Or if you picked up whatever it is, piece of wall, altar, and carried it with you. But Wiglaf's not going to be able to do that, so he's going to have to bring some paper, and we just upped our supply, so he took some paper and some ink and a quill and stuff so that he can copy it down. And then he's going to use it once, and then it burns up. So I don't want him to be able to keep using it against horrors and reducing the rank. That's not what it's there for. If we were going to do that, it would have to be a rarity. But since we're only using it this one time, it's an artifact. So that's how it's going to work. I've set up a delve that I'm not going to show you yet because we're not there yet. We have to travel. I've also done some work on Valeri. He is a husk. He is now extreme rather than formidable. And he will only be reduced back to formidable after the Ritual of Radiance if we can cast it. He was Macius before becoming a husk. Let's remember that we had certain characteristics, that his goal was to travel somewhere, we don't know where. He's unfriendly, of course, dangerous and clever. He's learning. And so if we look at this characteristic of the husks, they can consume the essence of others. He didn't just consume Wiglaf's father. He consumed others. And if you remember, Wiglaf found this list with Macius on it and a bunch of other names. I think that's a list of names of all the people that were consumed up to that point. His father was maybe consumed after the list was composed. There's a whole bunch of these guys inside. So this is the reason why the ritual will reduce the rank of the husk. Because a regular husk that's formidable can consume the essence of others, but hasn't done a lot of that yet. But this husk, based on our misses and our weak hits and our complications, has consumed a bunch of other people and is a much more powerful, like a boss husk, an elite husk. Okay? So Valeri / Macius, right? And I've now linked the two sheets. Valeri / Macius is a powerful husk that Wiglaf is going to have to face. But first, we've got to get this ritual, which means we've got to travel and we've got to undertake a journey. So the next morning, Wiglaf gets up, and Griff is already awake, and Wiglaf's mother is making breakfast. She's cooking some eggs and some bacon, and it smells really good in there. And Wiglaf has a morning meal in the twilight. It's going to get light around 8, 9 a.m., but it's early. And he's having a nice morning meal with Griff, getting scraps from the table, and very happy. And Wiglaf, so let's see, what was our last move? Our last move was to gather information. So actually, before we wake up, let's have Wiglaf do another sojourn. Because I think we need to see if we can maybe, possibly, perhaps, get this health and spirit back up to +5, or get some momentum or +1 on the next move or something to help us start this journey. So Wiglaf is going to sojourn here. He's gonna before he goes to bed, see if he can, maybe his mom has some supplies that he can use and that sort of stuff. So we're going to roll +heart. First roll of the night or day. 3 + 4 is 7 against an 8 and a 9. We have a miss. So his mother says, no, I don't have any supplies. And so we have to pay the price for that. Let's see. Boy, I have just been so unlucky with these rolls. But wait, that's another miss. And that, if we look at our sheet, that is going to give us one more. Oops, no, I don't want to do it that way. One more tick, which gives us 7. So we could actually see if we can gain some experience. We're going to do that, but we have to pay the price first. And I think the price we're going to pay is we can't learn anything here, right? We can't. We're not. I'm not going to be able. We're going to have to get somewhere else that we can rest before we can make a roll to see if we gain experience. I think that's reasonable. And then the other thing we have to do is just look on pay the prices, see if there's something that makes sense. Um, a new danger or foe is revealed, causes a delay. All right, so he wants to set out the next morning, but it turns out that the next morning there's a knock on the door, right? And we remember that we had this issue where Leo, the mayor of the town, right? Leo is now um, mute. His tongue is stuck to the top of his mouth. And so there's a knock on the door, and Wiglaf opens the door, and it's Mila. And she's heard that Wiglaf's in town, and she says, Wiglaf, we have a problem. Leo is not able to speak, and he can't eat either. And we can't even get water into his mouth because he can't drink. And so we've got to do something. It seems like there's a curse on him. And I suspect that curse is possibly coming from Kova. And so, what's Wiglaf going to do about this? So, Wiglaf wants to set out on this journey to the island, right? But we do have this problem that that the town magistrate is cursed. So, in the morning, when Wiglaf is trying to gather supplies and stuff, before he gets a chance to do any of that, Mila comes and says, "This is an emergency. He's dying of thirst. We have to do something. We can't even get water down his mouth. His tongue is stuck to the roof of his mouth, and like he can't drink. He can't swallow. All he can do is breathe, and he's suffering. And he's hadn't been able to drink for a couple days. He's gonna die of dehydration." And so Wiglaf says, "All right, take me to him, and let me see what I can figure out." So Wiglaf is going to go to the mayor's house, and there are several people kind of standing outside talking in hushed tones, and others are walking down the street as the sun comes up, kind of looking. The rumors are out that the mayor is sick, or the magistrate is sick. Wiglaf goes inside, and inside is the chirurgeon, and there are a couple of other people trying to help. And Wiglaf says, "What can you tell me about this?" He starts questioning them. When did it start? How did it manifest? And obviously, he can't really ask Leo. There's some scraps of paper. Leo was writing stuff down, but now he is so tired and weak and dehydrated that he's just sort of laying in the bed. He apparently was sweating earlier, but now he's just so dehydrated he can't even sweat. And he's just laying there shivering and looking very, very pale and drawn, like he very well might die sometime soon. And so he questions the chirurgeon. So what do we know? When did it start? And we're going to gather information. We don't have a bond, so we're just rolling at plus wits. And we roll a 6. Plus 2 is 8 against a 7 and a 5. Strong hit. So the path we must follow is clear. So we take plus 2 momentum. So that means we're going to get specific enough information that it's actionable. So let's go to the Oracle. Is this something that's coming from Duskmore? Maybe somebody here has, perhaps there's somebody from Highmount here. Is there somebody from Highmount here? Maybe one of the people who was in Duskmore has come to help. Maybe she's like a nurse or something and came to help. I'm going to say that's likely. 27, yes. So barely, but okay. So she is here from Highmount. And maybe she can tell him whether this is from Duskmore or not. So is she able to tell him that yes, this is something that they did in Duskmore? Like maybe she knows of a ritual that they were trying to do. Maybe they even did it to someone else in her sight. Is that possible? I'm going to say 50-50. 14. No, so it's not that. Um, well, so we know something. Let's roll action and theme and just see if it gives me anything. 11. Control. Well, okay. And 43. Control opportunity. So they're trying to control an opportunity. We know that they're trying to control the bad guy. Um, I'm trying to figure out how. So Wiglaf gets specific information, right? We got a strong hit on this. So vague isn't going to work. So let me pause here. I'm going to think about it, and then I'll come back when I've got an answer. So I've decided to go with my first instinct. You know, they recommend this in Ironsworn. Sean says often just go with your instinct. My instinct was that somebody's here, like one of the people who Wiglaf rescued from Highmount, and they've seen this ritual performed by someone in Duskmore. And Wiglaf now has specific information that this is being done at Kova's behest from Duskmore. And so what we're going to do is we're going to go back to our original Kova reckless warmongering and try to stop him once and for all. And Wiglaf says, all right, I will try to go back to Duskmore and see if I can stop these guys. And we're going to have to go back to our sort of original delve. Now, if we look at the delve rules, where are we? Duskmore delve. Um, Gee, did I clear all the progress on that? I guess I did. You're not really supposed to do that. So I'm going to pause it here, and I'm going to check how much progress I had, and then we'll do this correctly. Okay, so there was 8 progress, and the rule is you roll both challenge dice, you take the lowest die, and you subtract that many boxes of progress, right? So I'm going to roll 2 dice. I get a 6 and a 5, so we're subtracting 5 from 8, so there's 3 progress on this delve before we walk in the door. So let me mark that down. 1, 2, 3. So this is a dangerous delve, and that means that it's, what is it, 2 boxes per area. So what this means is that some of this is the same, but some of it is different. And what's the same or different we'll figure out when we get there. So Wiglaf says, all right, I'm going to go back to Duskmore, and I'm going to see I'm going to see if I can find this whoever has committed the curse and and stop it. And I think that, let's say that his mother joined him, and as they're describing the curse and everything, she can explain to him that that there's probably a cursed doll in the shape of Leo that has had its tongue jammed or something stuck into its mouth, and he's going to have to take the thing out and then maybe bring the doll to her so that she can cast a spell to break the break the curse. So he shouldn't like damage the doll or burn it because that'll make the victim burn, right? And should we make this an iron vow? I feel like this should be an iron vow. So let me pause here while I muck around with this progress track sheet, and I'll bring you back. All right, so I think this is kind of what we're going to be doing here. We have to find the doll, remove the pin, so that he can drink and talk again, but we want to make sure that we bring the doll back to Longhaven and get the curse removed, which hopefully our mother can do. And so if we go back to the player character, this is a dangerous vow, it looks like, because there's only about 4 steps. So we'll call this dangerous. That means we get 2 ticks per success. So the first thing we have to do is find the doll. And I guess one of the ticks will be, go back here, we also want to find the doll, remove the pin. I think before we do that, we want to like get back, yeah, we want to like re-enter Duskmore, right? Find the fetish doll, remove the pin, and then maybe really just remove the curse. Getting back to Longhaven, I mean, I guess we could do that. That would be if we want to get all the boxes filled, but we'll see how it goes. So Wiglaf's mother says, "Look, you've got to bring the doll back here, and then there is a ritual we can do to remove the curse." And even if the curse doesn't break, like let's say they can't break the curse, at least Leo can keep the doll so that nobody else can do anything to him, and he can keep the doll under lock and key. So we got to at least get the doll, take the pin out of its mouth, and return it to Longhaven. So that's minimally what we have to do. So Wiglaf says, "All right, I'm going to get going," and he says, "Come on, Griff." And so we now have what for our character? We have 4 momentum, 4 health, 4 spirit, and 5 supply. I hope that we can get through it with just that, because I don't like being below max when we're starting a Dell, but whatever. All right, so I think the first thing we're going to do is we're going to leave town. And Mila says, "You better hurry." And Wiglaf says, "All right." So they're going to move quickly. And they're going to move through the woods of what we are now calling the Elder Woods. And Wiglaf's going to go through the trees and head back to Duskmore. And so he's going quickly. We're using edge. So we're rolling at plus edge, so it's +3. And let's see what happens. Get a 5 plus 3 is an 8, but guys, these dice hate me today. Against a 9 and a 10, that's a miss. So there's some sort of a dramatic or costly turn of events. So yet another miss, and it's a good thing I wasn't trying to roll to see if I gained experience, because it would have been a miss on that. I guess I'm going to make that build up even higher because I want to actually get some experience, and we've already got 2 misses in just this session. So something is going to delay us, I guess, is the most likely, or something is I think something is going to delay us, or a surprising development. I have no idea what the surprising development would be. I think it's more likely we're going to be delayed. So I'm going to call that likely. And we roll a 98. So yes, we are delayed for some reason. So let's roll action and theme and ask, why were we delayed? And we get 13 surrender and 75 fortify. Surrender, sorry. Surrender, 75 mysticism. Surrender mysticism. So let me think about that, and I'll bring you back. Okay, I think this is a trap. I think that the zealots realize that they have this troublemaker. I don't know if they know that it's Wiglaf, but they know they have a troublemaker. Several of them were killed in Longhaven. One of them was killed outside Longhaven. Several of them were killed in a guard shack on the trail up to Kajir's Abyss. And several of them were killed in Kajir's Abyss, and they chased a guy out of the Abyss and toward the direction where Red Hall and Longhaven are. So they are, and they also know somebody's been in Duskmore. They're starting to suspect, they're communicating, they're starting to suspect this is the same guy. So they've laid a trap. And the trap is that Wiglaf comes across a one of the zealots in the woods who's like their clothes are tattered, there's some blood on their clothes, probably animal blood because it's a fake, and the person is crying and sobbing. They're by like a fire that's going out, and Wiglaf is in here, right? And he comes to this person. So my first question is the person a male? And I'm going to say it's actually unlikely, because I think they're going to expect that Wiglaf, who's a guy, and they know it's a guy doing this, would maybe be a little more disposed to be gentle or kind with a female in distress, a damsel in distress. So 38. So it is a female. So he comes across a woman who's sobbing and crying, right? And she's actually got her sleeve pulled up, and she's sobbing and crying and looking at this symbol of Angus. So Wiglaf stops, and he says, Who are you? What's going on here?" And she says, oh please, this cult, they took me in, and they tricked me, and they told me I would live if I helped them do rituals, but but they're evil, and I just want to leave this cult, and I just am not strong enough. I need to cut this symbol off my arm. And he says, you don't need to disfigure yourself. And she says, yes, yes, I do, because this is the thing that they use to control us. Please, please help me. Can you cut this off my arm, this awful tattoo, this awful brand? This is a deception, right? Wiglaf is going to... They're trying to get Wiglaf to help her, and then there are other cultists. They're saying she's going to surrender her mysticism, but there are other cultists around who want to trap him. So the question is Wiglaf going to figure this out? I think this is gather information. So Wiglaf says to her, what are you doing out here alone? She says, I fled Duskmore. I just couldn't take it anymore. Please, you've got to help me. It won't take long. Just help me cut this off my arm. I can't do it alone. And Wiglaf's going to, I think Wiglaf is a little wary. So let's gather information. And I think Griff gets to work here, right? He's sharp, and we're investigating a scene, and he could maybe smell them out. So we're gonna roll +3. +3 is 6. +3 is 9 against a 9 and a 3. It's a weak hit. Well, I mean, introducing a new danger, I think it's pretty obvious. So Wiglaf starts to move forward, and all of a sudden he hears Griff growl, right? And he looks up, and he sees 2 more cultists jump out, and the girl with the dagger cuts herself immediately and says, we've got you. And she's going to start trying to cast magic. So, obviously, this is the danger. We're going to get into combat. So let's set up another progress track. And we'll just start it down here. And this is, yet again, ambushed by 3 zealots. This happens a lot, and this is a dangerous battle. So we have 3 zealots, and they're going to be using their magic against him and so forth, and we're entering the fray. Now, this is not... It was an ambush. It was an ambush, but Wiglaf saw it, right? Griff alerted him. So I think he's facing off against them, and I'm going to let him roll plus heart rather than wits, because we got a weak hit, right? If we'd gotten a miss, it would be an ambush for sure. So we're entering the fray, rolling plus heart. So Wiglaf unslings his shield, and he hefts his spear, and he says, I'm sick of you cultists. Let's do this. And we enter the fray plus heart, rolling a 1. +4 is a 5, but this is a strong hit because against a 4 and a 1. So Wiglaf immediately recognizes the danger, and he says, Griff, you get that one. And then he turns to the other 2. We have +2 momentum. So that brings our momentum up to a 7. That's great. I love building momentum. And Wiglaf is going to step forward, and he is going to strike. So Wiglaf steps forward, and he's going right for the girl that just cut herself and is getting ready to cast a spell because he knows what she's going to do. And he says, no more death rituals from your blood magic here. And he thrusts his spear forward, rolling it plus iron. So it's +3. And we roll a 4, which is +3 is 7 against a 3 and a 5. Strong hit. So we inflict our harm and retain the initiative. So we go back to the progress track, and we inflict, right? So we get 1 progress. Or we get 2 progress per harm. We inflict our harm +1 for the spear. So that's 2 harm. That's 4 progress. So Wiglaf jams his spear right into her hand, right into her arm, and kind of just lifts her up with his spear, and then shoves her into the tree, and she like sags down. The spear is like right at her shoulder, and he kind of twists it, and then he puts his foot on her leg and just pulls the spear out, and then he spins around to face the next cultist. And since he has the initiative, he's going to get to go again. But Griff's also going to start biting and clawing at these guys. So he's got 1 cultist. The other one, the woman, is now down. The 2 are guys. Griff is holding 1 at bay, and Wiglaf turns to the other one, and he lowers his spear, and he charges with his spear. So let's see. We're not supposed to do 2 moves in a row that are the same. But I think in this case, I'm going to allow it, right? Because, well, wait, let's see. We could secure an advantage. All right, so I think instead of charging with a spear, Wiglaf is going to run forward and charge with his shield and try to, like, shield bash the guy. And let's see if that works. So he is using forceful defense, or aggressive action, I guess. We're rolling plus iron. And let's see. We roll a 2 plus 3 is 5 against a 6 and a 3. That is a weak hit. So we lose the initiative. We choose one of the above. And I think I'm going to get the 2 momentum, because I like momentum, as you guys know. And that brings our momentum near to max, so that means we can beat any 8s and below. But we lose the initiative, which means, if we go to our combat moves, that the enemy gets to do something. So should we roll on action? 50-50. I roll a 9, so let's do method and target. So there are 2 cultists still up, and their method is going to be 88 force, and their target is going to be 79 ferocity. Force, ferocity. Well, I think this is going to be a counterattack. So Wiglaf shield bashes the one cultist, but the cultist sort of ducks out of the way, and he only, like, clips him on the shoulder, and the cultist sort of staggers back, but then he takes his dagger and he cuts his arm, and he smears the blood all over his hands, and he is going to do a spell of ferocity. So let's see, what's this going to be? So I think what's going to happen is this, like, spectral wolf is going to rise up from behind Wiglaf and try to attack him, and Wiglaf is going to face danger. So let's go back to combat. So Wiglaf is going to face danger. So Wiglaf sees this thing coming, and Wiglaf is going to, it's basically a spell, right? It's not a summoned creature. So it's basically a spell like, Finger of Death or something that looks like a giant wolf head that's coming out of the woods and chomping on you. And so Wiglaf's going to dive out of the way and try to duck and roll out of the way of this thing. So we're rolling plus edge. And we get a 2 plus 3 is 5 against an 8 and a 9. That is a miss. So this thing chomps down on him. And now we have to pay the price. So the question is, what's the effect of this spell? So let me think about this. Is it going to paralyze him? Is it going to... what's it going to do? Is it going to paralyze him? Is it going to hurt? Is it going to control him? So I think it's either going to paralyze him or control him. So I'm going to say it's more likely to paralyze. So 26 or higher. 20. No, it controls him. So now he's going to act against his best intentions. So temporarily, right, until he gets initiative back, I guess, this thing controls him. And the zealot says, "We are not your enemies, that dog is." And he tries to force Wiglaf to attack Griff. So now, if we look at combat moves, we already faced danger, didn't we? So we got a clash. So, I mean, I really think we have to face danger here. I think Wiglaf's going to try to throw it off, right? So Wiglaf struggles to see if he can throw off the effects of this thing. And so we're rolling with plus heart now, right? Because he's trying to summon up his courage and his loyalty to Griff, and so he feels himself turn, and his spear lowers toward Griff, and Griff kind of goes, and starts, like, whining because all of a sudden his master is attacking him, and his arm comes up, and Wiglaf's trying to stop his arm from coming up and throwing that spear at Griff. Rolling plus heart. 5 plus 4 is a 9 against a 9 and a 6. That is a weak hit. So he succeeds but faces a troublesome cost. So I think this is very obvious. He's going to endure stress, right? Or actually, no. Should we suffer one momentum? I think we suffer momentum, right? Because he doesn't, like, he loses initiative here. Like, he doesn't attack Griff, but he, in the struggle, right, this gives the other guys time to do something to him. So they're going to be able to take another action. And since we already... Where are we on the combat moves here? Since we already did method, let's do combat action. So what are they going to do? While Wiglaf is sort of standing there paralyzed and Griff is kind of backing away from him whining, what are these guys going to do? 98. Attack with power. All right, so now I think each of them is going to take their dagger and try to stab one at Griff and one at Wiglaf. And so now Wiglaf is going to clash. Right? Wiglaf is going to fight back. He comes out of it and he says, there's cursing in Ironland, curses, and says, you will not make me attack my dog now or ever again. And they come at him with, the one comes at him with the dagger, and Wiglaf holds him at bay with his spear using his skirmisher. Oh, no, can't do that with Clash. We have to do it with face danger. So Wiglaf's trying to hold him at bay with a spear, but we can't do anything extra with it. So Wiglaf tries to hold him off and get that spear at him and maybe bash him with the shield. And we roll a 4 plus 3 is 7 against an 8 and a 5. Yet another weak hit. So we can either counterstrike successfully, inflicting harm, but the foe keeps initiative, or we can sacrifice, get the upper hand, pay the price. Don't want to take initiative yet because we still need to inflict harm. So we're going to inflict harm. So the guy comes at Wiglaf, and basically Wiglaf backs up enough, puts his spear down, and as he's trying to dive at Wiglaf with his dagger, right into the spear, and he gets stabbed. And so that's going to, in the progress, and not that big. So 1 harm for the hit and 1 harm for the spear. So now, if we take the initiative, we can win. And now I'm going to do this correctly. Now we're going to turn the tide because we have 8 progress. So we have a chance. So we're going to turn the tide. Once per fight, we can risk it all to steal initiative. And we're going to strike. Right? So Wiglaf is going to turn the tide and try to strike against these guys. Now we do have some momentum. We have, I think, 8, right? We have 8. So we got to try to turn this into a strong hit if possible. Let's hope the dice go with me. So Wiglaf has stabbed the one guy, stabbed the other guy. He turns around and he is going to run forward while Griff is still barking and sort of circling and backing away from the guy with the dagger who's trying to stab him. And Wiglaf is going to just try to run at him and stab him with his spear, rolling plus iron. We roll a 6. I'm not even looking at the other dice yet. Plus 3 is 9. So that should be okay, right, guys? But it's against a 9 and a 10. What is with these dice? Miss. So Wiglaf completely misses the guy, and we have to pay the price. And we now cannot turn the tide again, and we have lost initiative. So the attack fails, and we have to pay the price. So I think because Wiglaf missed, Griff is put in danger. And so that means we have to do companion endure harm. So Griff takes 2 harm. So the guy stabs Griff and does 2 damage because they're dangerous. So they do 2 harm per hit. And we have to do companion endure harm. I think that makes the most sense. Wiglaf completely whiffed at this guy when he was attacking Wiglaf's dog. So we have to do companion endure harm. So we roll plus heart. Or the companion's health with whatever is higher. Our heart is higher. Let's hope we do okay on the dice. Roll a 6. Plus 4 is 10 against a 3 and an 8. Strong hit. And this, guys, gives us the initiative. So on a strong hit, he rallies. So this guy slices across Griff, but Griff dodges out of the way enough that it cuts him, but it's not the killing blow that this guy thought it was going to be. And because of that, Griff turns around and clamps on his leg, holding him in place. And Wiglaf is now going to run forward and try to end the fray because we have had a strong hit. So now we can end the fight, right, when we make decisive action. So you can end the fight only after you score a strong hit on the preceding move. Well, the preceding move, companion endure harm, we got a strong hit. So now we're going to roll our dice, and we're rolling against 8s. We cannot use our momentum here. We got to hope we don't get 9s and 10s again. And we're going to try to end the fight. And we get a 2 and a 6 strong hit. So Wiglaf, while Griff clamps on this guy's leg and he's trying to pull his leg out of Griff's mouth, Wiglaf turns around and just jams the spear into him, killing yet another cultist. 3 dead cultists litter the woods, and we have ended the fight. Griff, are you all right? Wiglaf says, and Griff kind of whines a bit because he's hurt, he's cut, but he's not as badly cut as the guy was trying to do to him. He has 3 health. And Wiglaf's actually okay. We kept getting weak hits and losing initiative, but not paying too many prices, so that's not too bad. We didn't actually burn our momentum here, so we have 8 momentum, which is pretty good. Of course, couldn't burn momentum because the weak hits were things like 9, 10. Yeah, you can't burn momentum on that. So, so I think they're gonna move away from here for sure. First of all, Wiglaf is going to examine these guys. And one of the things he wants to do is see if he can find any clues or anything on them. Maybe letting him know where they came from, or perhaps anything else. So he's going to use Griff to sniff around, look for trails, look to see what's going on. Like, is there any clue we can gather here? He's going to search the bodies. We're going to gather information. And we roll a 2 plus 3, because we have the Hound with us, is 5 against a 5 and a 7, so that's a miss. So now we got to pay another price. I hate making moves today. We're just paying price after price. I think it takes a long time. It causes us a delay, and we're not able to make any real progress. So even though we are in the woods, I'm going to keep us in this hex, and we're going to have to complete a face danger successfully in this hex to get to Duskmore. So we really haven't gone very far. Wiglaf, leaves and goes a few hundred yards away from the ambush site so that they don't get into trouble with the cultists. But he's got to circle back around. So he doesn't find anything new. And he has to circle away, like instead of going one way, he's got to circle back around and cover his trail and everything, which is delaying him. And he doesn't actually get anywhere for that day. So now we're going to make camp. And here we roll plus supply, which is plus 5. And we roll a 4 plus 5 is 9 against a 4 and a 2. Now we get our strong hit. So in a strong hit, we can do 2 things. We can take a health for us and our companion, and we can take either a spirit or a momentum. We have a lot of momentum. I think we're going to go ahead and take a health for us and our companion, and take the spirit. So Wiglaf makes camp. They keep the fire banked as low as possible so that they're not seen. We got a strong hit, so they're not seen. And Griff, he patches Griff up with his healing salve, which he has. He got another healing salve and put it in his pouch, so he gives Griff a healing salve. His ankle is better now. It's pretty much healed up. And he feels better because, hey, we killed those guys. We owned them. And it was a tough fight, but we beat them, and we're fine now. And I think we're going to take it to these guys. So he's a little more encouraged. So that's our strong hit for making camp. And now, we're 43 minutes into this, and we haven't gone anywhere. Let's at least see if we can face danger and get to where we're going. Right? Once again, all we need to do is roll below 9. So we're going to face danger, and this time Wiglaf is going... He's going to go quietly. So unfortunately, we only have plus 2. And with all the misses, we might have enough to upgrade our assets. But I haven't tracked the misses, and I'm not going to do that now. I'll do that off screen. So let's just see if we can get through this hex. 3 plus 2 is 5 against a 10 and a 3 weak hit. So we succeed, but at a troublesome cost. And I think because of the delay, we're going to lose a momentum. I hate doing that, but we have pretty high momentum, and a 7 isn't too bad. So yes, they've been delayed, and this delay has given Wiglaf a little less momentum, right? He had to backtrack and go around and try to find another way to get through. But at this point, we are in this hex, and so we're at Duskmore. And so let's just look at the delve. So we reduced it to 3 progress. And I think one of the things that's happened is the hole in the wall by the large hall has been patched. So there may be another way in besides the east and the west gates, but the old way we use, when Wiglaf gets there, he's going to see that's been patched up and he can't get through it anymore. So we're going to have to like look for another way into this hill fort town. But that will happen in the next episode. And our objective here is to find the fetish doll of Leo. And we'll see if we can actually do that. And I think this husk, we're going to change to Valeri. He could be in here. Kova could be in here. Raiders, guard dogs, which are like wolves, and so forth. And we'll see what happens. And I do think one of the things that we need to change here, because this is a dangerous delve, is we need to move some of this. I think the troublesome guy should have the higher probabilities. And so we're just going to bump these along. Yes, there's a chance of meeting warriors, but I think the troublesome guys should be much more common. I'm going to leave the zealots as uncommon because the zealots are really up in Kajir's. There are a few of them here, but most of them are up in Kajir's abyss. And then there might be a thrall here and Kova and so on. So I think we're pretty set. And I think we're ready to go. In the next episode, we will be delving the depths again in Duskmore and seeing if we can find whoever whoever is a cultist, I guess, maybe a thrall, maybe the husk himself, maybe Kova. Somebody has this doll. So we've arrived at the delve, and that means we get 1 progress on saving Leo, right? Because we defined that first goal was, well, we have to re-enter Duskmore, so we're not in there yet. We have to do our first delve, and then we will mark progress. So yet another Iron Vow. Hardly any progress made on any of them. I will check the whether or not we have enough misses. I think we do now to get us to 8 progress on the failure track, and hopefully that'll be enough. Although the way these dice are rolling, I might just wait to fill it all the way up, because this way only double 10s can screw me, and we can actually gain a lot of experience. All right, folks. Gosh, we've almost filled all of these progress tracks. So at some point, I'm going to erase everything but the failure track, and we'll start up at the top again. Until next time, I am Scrapperlock, and this has been Ironsworn, Antarctica.